Tantor Audio, a division of recorded books, presents 50 More Ways to Soothe Yourself Without Food by Susan Albers, PsyD. Narrated by Margaret Strom. Mindful Eating Manifesto. Being nourished and well-fed is critical to being at your best. To focus, create, innovate, authentically connect, and simply be the most amazing you. The first step to healthy eating is to focus more on how you eat than what you eat. It's perfectly okay to enjoy delicious food in a mindful way. When prepared well, healthy food is stunningly delicious and filling to the belly, and it exposes junk food as the highly processed stuff pumped with artificial fluff that it is. The comfort food brings is disappointingly fleeting. Hunger can be deceptive, and mindfulness can help distinguish emotional from true physical hunger. Whether you eat, snack, munch, dine, or take just one bite, always keep your mindful inner light switched on. Susan Albers, PsyD. Part 1. All about emotional eating. How it happens. Think of a time when you were infatuated with someone. This person was all you could think about. Maybe you spent a lot of time daydreaming about him, doodling his name on a pad of paper. You think you might be falling in love, but then you go on your first date, and the wind deflates from your sails. For whatever reason, you realize he's not right for you, and he never was what he seemed. In these tough moments, we experience the initial thrill of dating, quickly followed by a huge letdown. Perhaps you've had the same experience with food. You spend a lot of time thinking about, dreaming about, pining for, and imagining good eats. But then, once you have them, they don't always deliver what you had hoped. Your fantasy of how it would make you feel is much different than how you actually feel. Food has let you down. Let's hear from Melanie and her recent new relationship to food. Life was good until I got a new boss. Every time she walked down the hallway, I'd cringe. I'd imagine Darth Vader-like music playing as she approached my desk. I found myself hiding behind my computer screen, nibbling on candy and snacks. 95% of the time, I wasn't even hungry. At home, I'd spend the night in front of the TV trying to shake off the stress from the day and unwind. Inevitably, I'd be mindlessly munching on a bowl of chips. When that was gone, I'd rummage around for something sweet. I tried many things to quit this habit, distracting myself, telling myself to just cut it out. These things worked for a little while. Then I needed something more. I realized that I had gained more than 10 pounds in a year and a half. I believe it was 100% stress-related. If Melanie's story sounds familiar, you aren't alone. If you've chosen this book, it's likely that you too are well-versed in comfort eating, eating to feel better. Like Melanie, emotional eating may have snuck up on you. Many of us instantly and automatically reach for food in moments of stress, anxiety, boredom, grief, happiness, heartache, and so on. Why do we turn to food? There are many reasons that I will explain throughout this book, but the main motivation is that it offers some degree of relief from daily stress and tension. Eating a cookie or piece of cake can feel like waving a magic wand to poof away discomfort and anxiety. Within a matter of moments of biting into a chocolate bar, you can feel your anxiety level drop down from an 8 to a 4. Instant bliss. Some people drink alcohol. Some take drugs. Others go shopping. We eat. The sheer fact of the matter is that comfort eating works particularly when you want or need to feel better right now. Food is around us 24/7. The convenience factor plus instant gratification makes the perfect recipe for emotional eating. So, what's the problem? The moment of bliss is fleeting. It's clear in Melanie's story that the solution becomes another problem. Ask anyone just a few minutes after stress eating how she feels, and the story isn't pretty. What does she say? The list is long and often filled with regret. Guilty, bloated, frustrated. The emotional 180 is intense. Sometimes people even feel angry. One of my clients says, "How could I let myself be seduced into comfort eating again? I know it doesn't make me feel good after the fact, and yet I do it over and over and over again." This may be perplexing to you as well. Why do we continue to do something that ultimately doesn't work in the long run? This is a mystery that I hope to solve for Melanie and for you too. Since I'm a psychologist who works with comfort eaters daily in my office, I recognize it immediately when I see it. Melanie had stepped onto what I frequently call the comfort eating carousel. It's a cycle that goes like this. You experience stress. You need comfort. You eat something. You feel a temporary moment of comfort. Your positive feelings evaporate. Guilt sets in. Then you need soothing from this new guilt. It's carousel-like because it keeps going around and around. You can get off, but you have to decide it's time. And it can be very tempting to hop back on and say, just one more ride. Most of my clients don't worry too much about emotional eating, at first. Little bits of it here and there are often no big deal. But when emotional eating becomes your go-to method for coping with stress, your quality of life begins to plummet. Sometimes this includes weight gain, feeling frustrated, becoming upset with yourself, or isolating yourself because you are embarrassed or uncomfortable in your body. As you listen to this book, you will notice a couple of terms that I use frequently: comfort eating and emotional eating. These are both the same thing and may be used interchangeably to refer to eating that is related to emotion in one way or another. It is the use of food to lessen or avoid bad feelings, or to prolong good feelings. A subset of emotional eating is stress eating, which has the component of triggering a biological mechanism called the HPA axis. Hypothalamic pituitary adrenal partnership. This axis controls your stress hormones and kicks your sympathetic nervous system into gear. It's this system that is biologically wired to make you crave sugary, fatty foods. All stress eating can be considered emotional or comfort eating, but not all emotional and comfort eating is stress eating. It's likely that, if you're listening to this, comfort eating is no longer working for you. You may have realized that eating is a temporary Band-Aid. It doesn't feel good or provide relief in the long run. And sometimes, the post-eating feelings are worse than the initial ones. Perhaps, like Melanie, you've tried many things to put a stop to emotional eating. Some things may have worked for a while, but then you find that you are right back to doing it again. That is exactly where Melanie was when she walked into my office. She felt frustrated and stuck. She wanted some techniques to help her get off of the comfort eating carousel. If you're seeking answers and some skills to halt the cyclical habit, you're in the perfect place. In this book, you will find many exciting and innovative techniques. Some will be familiar to you, and others will be brand new. Here's a snapshot of what this book offers. A thorough explanation of the reasons Melanie, and you, fall into the trap of comfort eating time and again. An examination of how emotional eating works and why it's so comforting in the moment. Proven strategies for how to conquer emotional eating once and for all. Real-life examples of replacing emotional eating with healthier activities. All of the techniques I discuss in my books and articles, and on blogs and my website, can be described in 3 ways: easy, economical, and effective. Easy. It's important that any tip I share is simple. My tips are things that don't require a lot of time and can be done right now. They will not take you weeks and weeks to learn, and they aren't a struggle. They might take practice, but they'll result in less sweat and fewer tears. Economical. The tips are easily affordable for anyone. The majority of my tips don't cost any money. Some may require a few supplies, but even those have a low price. Effective. The techniques I share work. However, you don't have to take my word for it. They are all research-based tools. Therefore, although you may not have heard of some of these techniques, others have studied, researched, and implemented them. Their limitations will also be discussed. How to get the most benefit from this book. This book has been created to function like a guidebook, with a set of instructions that you can use whenever you need to. Listen to it whenever you need ideas to stop emotional eating in its tracks. It's helpful to start at the beginning of this book. It's advisable to start by understanding a little bit about why emotional eating happens and where it comes from. This gives your mind the opportunity to understand the big picture. Next, listen to the entire book. Keep an open mind. As you listen, you are likely to say, "Wow, that sounds just like me," or "I'm not sure that would work for me." Take notes. Jot down the strategies that you'd like to try. But don't give up on the ones you're unsure about. You might find the solution you've been hoping for. Who this book is for. This book is for anyone who has ever struggled with emotional eating. In a nutshell, that is almost everyone. I'd like to meet someone who has not experienced emotional eating. I have not met anyone yet. Have you? It is also a book for men and women. While most of the examples may be of women, this is because the majority of my clients are female, I want to acknowledge that men emotionally eat as well. I've worked with men in my office, and many male readers tell me about the ways the messages in this book resonate with them. So don't hesitate to share this book with any friends who may be struggling too. Now, let's go ahead and get off the comfort eating carousel. All about emotional eating and self-soothing. Think about a time you went home for the holidays. Your aunts, uncles, grandparents, and anyone else who is important to you are there around the table. When you first walk in the door, you instantly feel comforted by the warm, glowing feeling you get. The smell of the foods from the kitchen and the sounds of your family are familiar and comfortable. You feel connected and calm. Then, all of a sudden, one of your relatives asks you a nosy question about your relationship or your financial situation, and you become uncomfortable. Maybe 2 family members start the same argument they always have. Perhaps another member of your family gets on your nerves with her strange mannerisms. Maybe the kids misbehave, or someone eats the last piece of pie, the one you were dying to try. All of these little things add up. Now you feel regret for coming, and all you want to do is get out of there quickly. This family scenario may mimic your feelings about food. You may want to keep this metaphor in mind when you consider how quickly emotional eating can make a 180 from pleasure to remorse. First, your senses are comforted and calmed by the familiar sensations. Warm and gooey, sweet and savory, salty and crunchy. But slowly, when boundaries are broken and your desire to stop eating isn't honored, the wonderful sensations you were just experiencing feel toxic. The good news is that you can prevent your family and food from making the flip from comforting to noxious by being more mindful of your feelings and responding to them in the right way. In other words, by setting boundaries and finding ways to calm and comfort yourself without eating. Often we try to force it. Your family or food was once really comforting when you were 12, and you want that experience again. But you're older, and things aren't like that anymore. You keep trying to make the situation give you the feeling it once did. Here is the main take-home message that I want you to get from this book. Overeating is not a problem about food. It's a problem of self-soothing. In other words, the issue we are really looking at is finding ways to calm down, de-stress, feel better, and get a grip. It's not only about fighting off food cravings for potato chips and cheese puffs. It's unrealistic to expect that you will throw away or avoid all the yummy food you crave in the world. Instead, it's important to be able to cope with cravings wherever and whenever they pop up. When you're able to manage your emotions, you no longer need to turn to food to feel better. The problem is that, from an early age, few of us are taught self-soothing skills. It's unfortunate. We need them. Think of a baby in a crib who wakes in the middle of the night. At first, the baby cries looking for some comfort, but eventually, with time and patient parents, the baby learns to self-soothe. Perhaps he sucks a pacifier, clings to his blankie, or rolls over. Life is incredibly stressful. Has anyone ever sat you down and said, "Here is a lesson on how to deal with stress"? Or have you ever taken a class on how to manage difficult emotions and ways to self-soothe? No. We learn how to cope with stress in a variety of ways, mostly by watching other people. Maybe you calm down the same way your mother does. Or maybe you came across a solution by chance. For example, perhaps you notice that playing a game on your phone helps you to de-stress for a moment. So you start to do it more often. Some self-soothing skills are very healthy. Sleep. Call a friend to vent. Take a walk. Others are not. Smoke. Have a cocktail. Eat. Think for a moment. How do you calm down after an argument with a friend or loved one? Unfortunately, sometimes self-soothing skills can be downright harmful. Taking drugs. Cutting. Occasionally, comfort eating can develop into a more significant issue. Binge eating disorder has recently been accepted as an official diagnosis. It has been added to the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, DSM-5, the big, universally accepted book of psychiatric disorders that doctors help use to diagnose patients. This is good news and a game changer. Why? It recognizes and pays homage to several things. First, there is a difference between overeating and eating triggered by emotions. Overeating is eating too large of a portion size because the food is there, or because you are unaware of how much is healthy for you to consume. Emotional and binge eating are prompted by emotions. Everyone falls somewhere on the spectrum from never emotionally eating to frequently eating because they are happy, sad, angry, or upset. Examples of self-soothing. This is a brief list of some common feelings, behaviors, and thoughts comfort eaters have surrounding food. There are many other examples. Take a moment and see if any of these sound familiar to you. Emotional eating, feelings. Eating numbs my emotions. The urge to eat is triggered when I want to celebrate. I feel relief while eating. I feel empty, so I eat to feel more fulfilled. I have feelings of guilt post-eating. Emotional eating, behaviors. Chewing feels good. I rummage through cupboards seeking something specific to eat, but I have difficulty finding just what I want. Eating right away after a stressful event is a habit. I stock up on comfort foods in case I need them. Overeating at stressful events like holidays or family reunions is common. I'm searching for something to eat, but can't find anything truly satisfying. Emotional eating, thoughts. I'll just continue to eat different foods because I can't find what I really want. I believe that eating equals relaxing. When upset, I think, I need to eat something. I focus only on particular types of foods for emotional relief, like chocolate, ice cream, chips, and so on. I think about eating so much that I'm hungry right after I've eaten. I know that I am only eating this food because I am stressed. Integrative medicine, going beyond. Many of the techniques in this book are based on the field of integrative medicine, a more modern term for what used to be known as complementary and alternative medicine, CAM. This reflects the integration of alternative treatments with conventional medicine and research. Those interested in this field tend to shy away from the word alternative because it implies that a treatment is not generally accepted or is off the map in some way, when many of the techniques are not. To date, most people are more familiar with the term alternative, but throughout this book, you will hear both terms. CAM is traditionally thought of as practices rooted in ancient traditions that are often not in the core curriculum taught in medical school. That said, the popularity of these techniques is on the rise. They're starting to be a part of many medical programs and are being tested in clinical research. The treatments are often an adjunct or addition to typical therapies. Sometimes they even replace them. At the core of these techniques is the belief that the body is powerful and can be involved in healing itself. The good news, and something that is important to me as a therapist and clinician, is that the efficacy of many of these techniques has been researched and reported on in published journals. Several national surveys estimate that almost 40% of the U.S. population uses complementary and alternative medicine therapy in a given year. One large male survey found that the most commonly used techniques were relaxation, 18%, massage, 12%, herbal medicine, 10%, or megavitamin therapy, 9%. What does this mean? You might already be included in this group. If you've done deep breathing exercises or yoga, you've used alternative or complementary medicine. Maybe you've put honey in tea to soothe your throat when it was sore, or drank warm milk to help you sleep. Also, CAM. My grandmother was an advocate of CAM techniques, although she called them home remedies. She believed they were natural, less expensive, and, for certain ailments, more effective. For example, when I got a sunburn as a child, the days before SPF 50, she didn't reach for a cooling spray to help alleviate the pain. My grandmother went to her windowsill and snapped off the end of an aloe vera plant, then rubbed the comforting, gentle substance on my burn. To this day, I make sure I have an aloe vera plant somewhere in my house for just that occasion. My guess is that you use some CAM techniques as well, whether you're aware of it or not. Some of the skills in this book may be less familiar to you, such as mindfulness techniques or the use of expressive arts therapies. If so, that is okay. They will be explained in full. Why would we turn to these types of techniques? Different things work for different people. Why not try everything that might work? Here is a list of reasons people have for turning to integrative or CAM techniques. You don't want to take medication. There is no Western medication or effective therapy that is available. You feel stuck. You tried other techniques and they don't seem to be working. You're bored. You want to try something new. Nothing is working. You feel frustrated. New circumstances bring on the need for more tools to choose from. Your personality is non-traditional. You don't like conventional treatments. You feel that your issue is more mental than physical, and you know that medication isn't going to get rid of situational stress. You need something that doesn't cost a lot of money. You want a skill you can practice anywhere, anytime, whenever your emotions or symptoms hit. You want a healing modality that recognizes you as a complete human being, body, mind, and spirit, not just a symptom. The goal: calm, cool, collected, comforted. Let me explain what you can and cannot expect from CAM techniques. CAM techniques are not a magic wand, so unfortunately they won't go poof and take away all your urges for comfort eating, and they won't eliminate all bad feelings or discomfort. The goal isn't to turn off your feelings or make them vanish, although sometimes you might love to make that happen. Instead, the intention is to cool them off or turn them down so they don't push you to food for immediate relief. When you are able to manage and cope with your feelings, you can then create and choose healthier options. Life would be boring if all your feelings were erased. Also, emotions help you to make decisions. So let calm, cool, collected, and comforted be your motto and mantra. The purpose of CAM and integrative methods is not to induce a joyous or elated feeling, although sometimes this happens. The outcome we can hope to access is comfort and ease. Here is my disclaimer. If you struggle with an eating disorder, or if you have tried the techniques in this book and aren't getting anywhere, it is vitally important that you contact a professional, such as a licensed therapist, physician, or dietitian. If you have any medical or physical limitations, only participate in activities that your doctor or healthcare practitioner approves of. This is essential. If you are not sure about a technique, simply give him or her a call and ask. Fortunately, These tools can be an adjunct to or complement what you are already doing, even if it
Sample complete. Ready to continue?